All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, wherever you are in this beautiful world. Welcome to our Inner Circle Live pre-New York session. I'm your host, Ryan Carthage. We'll be joined shortly by my awesome partner, Mr. Benny Allen. I hope everybody is doing well today on this fine Tuesday. So, as always, let's turn off all distractions, grab a pen and paper, let's take lots of notes, and let's make sure that we participate and engage. Okay, so we will take a look at the fundamentals, see where things are, get updates over the weekend, and then we will dive into the chart. So without further ado, let's head over to Trading Economics. All right, and switch my share. All right, so first things first, German industrial output shrinks for the 6th month. Industrial production in Germany shrank 0.7% month over month in November, following a downwardly revised 0.3% fall in October. And compared to a forecast of a 0.2% rise, production decreased for capital goods, intermediate goods, and consumer goods, while increasing for energy. We know that increase in energy has been a narrative over the past week or so. Then we had Eurozone unemployment rate at a record low. Seasonally adjusted job losses in the Euro area hit 6.4% for the month of November. That's something to keep our eyes on as we watch the Eurozone to see how things continue this back and forth seesaw with the data. Then we had retail sales in Australia. Retail sales in Australia rose by 2% month over month in November, exceeding market estimates of 1.2%, and shifting from a revised 0.4% fall in the prior month, the flash data showed. So, excuse me. This was the strongest pace in retail trade since November 2021, and boosted by Black Friday events. Sales rebounded for most retail industries. And yeah, so it breaks down the differences in the different industries there. So, but got a boost in retail sales for the Australian dollar. So also something to keep our eyes on as we continue to move forward. Let's hop over to the calendar. You'll see some of these numbers in live action. Also on Monday, we had CPI number come in above expectation for the Swiss franc. So it'll be interesting to see how they manage that. The expectation was a negative 0.1%. And the actual came in at 0, so a bit higher. Also, the retail sales came in above expectation as well. So we'll see how that impacts the Swissy in the coming weeks. For Japan, Tokyo Core CPI year over year came in at expectation, which is lower than the previous month. So CPI coming down a bit. You had household spending also decrease more than expected. With the increase in prices, customers are feeling that, and so they're being a little bit more selective in what they choose to purchase in Japan. So also a thing to we'll continue to watch that as that story in Japan continues to unfold. Then here you have your Aussie data. Swiss franc foreign currency reserves came in higher than the previous, so they're still holding more foreign reserves, which is interesting as they started to sell off some of those based on the previous data in their rate statement. So that's also something to watch to see if this number continues to tick up. If it does, we could see that Swissy continue to soften, giving us opportunities for some of those 80-20s and some of those crosses that we've been looking at. So that's there. Month over month unemployment rate we talked about is below expectation there. Then later on today, we got CPI for the Aussie. Also will be something to watch. Does that number come in above expectation as those retail sales numbers did? And then do we get a boost in the Aussie, right? So something to keep our eyes on there. Tomorrow, Governor Bailey speaks. We have not a ton, just a few folks coming to the microphone. Member Williams speaking. We got member Barr, I think, speaking today. Yes, at 12 o'clock today. Then on Thursday is where we get data that all eyes are really pointed at, core CPI data for the United States and the unemployment claims. And then we have CPI for China as well. And then on Friday, we have GDP for the UK and core PPI data for the United States. So second half of the week, anticipate a little bit more volatility as more data comes out there. All right. Um, that's it from a fundamental perspective. Are there any questions or anything that you guys have seen or have questions about that you want to bring to the table? No? All right. Cool deal. Joy Reese, can you guys hear me okay? My bad. Here we go. Um, looking at the DXY, pulling back, still pulling back, looking to see if price pushes down into the deep retracement zone here off this subfib. We'll see, but we could be setting up for potential crown pattern on the dollar, right? So this is something that I am watching to see how this actually moves. But if we see another push up on the dollar, if this settles in, we got to swing low there on this 4-hour time frame. But if things settle in and get that move to the upside, we'll see those crosses flip, right? And start pushing down. We could also then see your indices also push lower and start to see a little bit of a cycle there. So we'll watch and see how this transpires, if it continues to the downside or if we start to see this move back long on the dollar. But that's what we're looking at right now. Still pressing down, still staying below the trend line. So we'll watch and see how deep this retracement comes on the dollar. Okay. So that's it for the DXY. Over to the S&P 500. Coming out of the weekend, we identified this 80-20 here on the 4, right? Shallow retracement 118, 127 zone, and we pushed through both TPs. Beautiful scenario, beautiful move. 65 pips to the upside, getting to that TP2 level. Now, what we can look at is this opportunity here for continuation potentially to the downside, right? If the dollar makes that flip and it starts pushing back long, we could see this crown pattern on the S&P 500. Right? So something also to pay attention to, right? It's already starting to turn over. So we drop down to the 1 and we can look at trend line breaks and potential continuations to the downside here. Right? So that's your AB boundary there. We're at a 236 retracement right now. Let's watch and see what happens. If this turns over and we really, so we already got a trend line break. Let's see if this continues down. So something to watch over the long term. Could see some downward pressure on the indices coming over the next couple of days. So we'll see how the data also comes out as well and see if it supports, right, that shift and potentially even some strength in the dollar with some of the data coming in above expectation, right? So that's the S&P 500. Any questions there? Anybody take that move to the upside? Missed it. Okay. Cool deal. Yeah, it took off. So, beautiful scenario though. Beautiful scenario. And then we had the NASDAQ 100. We're watching similar move, right? And this one also pushed out of that 118, 127 zone. Boom, TP2. So those two alone were at 65 plus 409, 474 pips. Um, just coming out of the weekend, right? So this is another one on the indices pushed to the upside. Similar scenario, right? Potential crown pattern here. Again, if the dollar also flips and the data comes in above expectation, we see some dollar strength. We could see these crown patterns really start to form and play out, right? So potentially continuation to the downside here, right? At least getting to this daily support level at 15,701, right? So let's bounce back for a second. And let me see. Oh, here. Yep. So this is a range I have boxed out here. Um, and it would make sense, right, for this continuation, because on the daily time frame on this NASDAQ, we got an 80-20 scenario, right? Let's pull this out. Oops. Not that one. That. All right. So we got an 80-20 scenario here, right? Prices in this 118, 127 zone. So if we do get this continuation to the downside, right, stay below 16,996, we get this continuation down, right? We got a daily support at 15,701, but we also got our 236 and 382 in that zone as well. So potential opportunity for that to continue to the downside there, and the 80-20 on the daily time frame to fill out. And we'll see that continued move down. Okay, so that's the NASDAQ on the daily. Quick look at the one, should be similar to that S&P 500. Boom, right? And we're headed down. All right, so potential crown pattern there. Any questions on NASDAQ 100? Nope. All right, cool deal. Then we had the NZD-JPY. We had a lot of yen crosses setting up, all in similar scenarios. So here on the one was a setup on the NZD-JPY. Has hit TP1, right? And now we're looking to see what happens from here. Do we get a continued move to the downside, stay below the trend line, or do we start making our way back up? Okay, so this is something to pay attention to. We'll watch and see what happens in Japan to see if we get any shifts there. But this is the scenario, right? We already got the TP1. That puts us on Tuesday at 542 pips already, already for the week. So moving to the downside, if you're in this to the downside, continue to manage your trade. If you, maybe take some off since we already got to that TP1 level, and see if we can leave the rest running and get to that TP2. And then maybe, right, because we're struggling at this $90 range, third time there, maybe these yen start to flip and start to move south a little prematurely. There was an article that came out where they're starting to have these wage negotiation conversations. And one of the large, you have executives from large organizations pushing for higher rate increases. And you also have leaders from some of your some of the larger union organizations also pressing for higher wage increases, and they're looking at 5 to 6% wage increases. Right, last year they had around, it will average around, I believe it was like 3.3% wage increases, and they're looking to increase that to 5 to 6%. One of the reasons is employees are asking for higher wages because they're also asking them to go back into the office full time, right? So they want to be paid more to have to come out of this work from home scenario. So something to keep our eyes on as that wage negotiations and those meetings start to pick up. In Japan, we could, as that information starts to come out, we could start to see these make those lower highs and lower lows, and making that way to the downside and building some of that yen strength as we move into potential changes coming out of that negative interest rate scenario. All right. So things to keep in the back of our mind as we look at these setups. Okay. Questions on the NZD/JPY? Nope. All right. Cool deal. Keep rocking. I want to look at this before we get away from it. This is one setting up. Posted it in the community already, but a couple things on this pound Aussie, right? So over on the daily time frame, here we are. We haven't gotten to 382, been making our way to the downside. We had our consolidation here. We broke out of the consolidation. Now we're pulling back into that zone of consolidation. So if we get some Aussie strength, which which we potentially could with data coming in above expectation, we could start to see this turn back over and make its way back down to the downside, right, off this break and retest scenario. So something I'm looking at, right? So as we move down to the 4, we were looking at coming out of the weekend, this 80-20 scenario here, shallow retracement. Price did end up running to the D extension, right? So we took an L on that one. 76 pip loss there. But now we're getting some consolidation here, right? So as we move down to the 1, here we have an 80-20 scenario set up, right? So watching this here to see if we are able to get price to make its way down and give us a retracement and potentially starting that longer move to the downside. Okay. So there we are there. Also, if you look at the larger fib, these are your sub fibs to the upside, smaller waves. Look at the larger fib when an 8-6 retracement level here, right? So 8-6 retracement, key retracement level in line with an 80-20 on the 1, right? So that could give us that move to the downside, at least getting us back to the support level at 85,873. Okay, so short-term, long-term potential opportunities there and moving back down to the downside on this pound Aussie. Okay, but we'll also see what happens coming out of the UK with the data and see if that aligns with this as well. All right. Questions on the pound Aussie? Nope. All right, cool deal. Benny, good morning, bro.
Good morning, Ryan. Good morning, everybody. How are you, Ryan?
I'm doing well, man. How about yourself?
Oh, man, doing great. Glad to be here this morning.
Awesome. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Definitely glad to be here. Excited for another week, man. Anything top of mind for you from a fundamental perspective?
Fundamentally, I really just I slow walked it into the year because we had, the news coming out right away, right, first Friday of the new month and the new year. Last week, and now I'm just waiting on that CPI data to come out later this week. I think it's Thursday for the U.S., right?
Yep. Yep.
Yep. Yeah. So that's what
CPI
I'm.
Thursday and PPI on Friday.
Yep. So getting those first reads from those reports this year, and then I really look for things to really pick up from there. Not that we've gotten out the gate pretty good, with some 80-20 plays at start of the year, but that's what I think the rest of the market is waiting on too.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to see that towards the end of the week this week. But other than that's it.
Okay. Okay. I'm with for sure. Appreciate you, bro. Reese, yes. At the end of the session, I'll walk over to the community and I'll show everybody where those are being posted. But all the recordings are being posted in the community for the rituals and for the live session. So I'll show you where those are. But there we go there on the pound Aussie. Were there any questions here? No. Okay. So that one is active setup right now, and we'll continue to monitor that. Let's go over to the Aussie yen. Yeah, Aussie yen. I'll take a look at the Aussie CAD also. But this Aussie yen, right, hovering at this 97,583 level, right, came back to it last week, and we had some indecision. And now you see we're moving to the downside here, right? We know overall it's been in this range for a while. We got a 50% retracement. So it's trying to figure out what's going to happen with this Aussie yen pair. So coming down to the 4, right? We had a fresh B boundary. Here's that little bit of a range, and we're trying to make our way back down. Okay. 1 hour. This is where our setup was on the 80/20. Boom. TP2. Right. TP2 achieved 81 pips. Right. Now we're looking to see, do we get a shift here? Right. With data on the Aussie, we'll see how this plays out here. Right. We're in that 618 retracement zone. We'll see if we settle in. Right. For those that trade C to Ds, watch this and see if your rules are met here. Right. Use additional confirmation. Drop your trend lines or your cloud, right? And look to see if you get a shift here. Okay. Maybe you get price to settle in and stay inside that AB boundary and get a push to the matching D extension there, right? Getting us back to that 97,583 triple top scenario. And then we can see what happens from there when it comes to the data and the Aussie and the yen and how they move. Okay. So, but beautiful scenario there. Yeah, so let's watch that one and see what happens. Any questions on this Aussie yen?
Nope.
All right, cool deal. We had a lot of nice setups coming out of the weekend, and they played out early for us. Aussie NZD is one that's going in the opposite direction, right? So here on the daily, let me actually update this. We got a daily resistance here. Take that down. We're pressing down here. Had strong bullish action through December, right? Middle of December, consolidation. Now we're pulling back. So let's watch this and see if we do get price to turn over and push to the upside. This one is always interesting because of the similarities. Coming down to the 4, here's where that 80/20 is, right? We're still in that 118, 127 zone. We're pushing down. It'll be interesting to see where this settles in it, right? We might get to this D extension before we see price slow down. So we'll watch this and see how it goes. we got a daily support level at 106,697. So maybe we get back and get a double bottom type scenario here. Okay, so let's watch and see. It's moving down. We'll see if it turns over at any point and stays above that D extension and gives us a reversal. If it doesn't, that's cool too, right? 50 pips is a stop loss there. So we'll see what happens there. So that one is moving down against us right now in a bit of drawdown. Coming down to the 1, I want to see. Let's see here. Yeah, so there's your capital fib there. And these are your sub fibs also. So not much doing there. From a capital fib perspective, you do have some confirmation to the downside here. So something to watch, right? And we'll see where that actually settles in and see if we get an opportunity on that flip. Okay. So yeah, that's the Aussie New Zealand. Any questions on this one? This one never really slowed down and gave us any sort of a turn, right? It moved sideways and then it broke down to the downside. So we'll continue to monitor that and see how it goes. Okay. No questions? Cool deal. Aussie CAD. Let's get an update on this one as it continues to take its time. Here's that 80/20 on the 4. Boom. All right, take those out. And it's still just lingering, right? We were able to break below this support level. It serves now as resistance at 89,866. We want to see if we get some more push to the downside, right? This is another one that'll be interesting. If we get a boost in the Aussie, what happens with the Canadian dollar, right? Oil is still in its back and forth bounce, so we'll have to watch that closely as well. But we're still in the range. So got some work to do to see if we're able to break this 88,764 level to continue that move to the downside. So that's one of those forever ones taking its time. So we'll see. We'll see what happens when it gets there. All right. So that's a quick update on the Aussie CAD. Nothing else there. What else did we have? CAD Swiss. It's trying. It's trying to make its way out of the zone. Daily time frame, we got a fresh AB boundary, and you see the consolidation here. All right. See the consolidation here. It's just pressing sideways. Right. It's all-time low at 63,010. Want to see if these buyers can come in and at least push price back up a little bit and retest that support level, maybe even go higher. All right. So as we come down to the 4, this is where we sit. There we go. Larger fib there, right? There's your consolidation, right? We're trying to push. We got to break the top side of this consolidation though. All right. We got to break the top side of that in order to really get some confirmation of price moving to the upside. So we'll continue to monitor this one and see how it develops. That Swiss data, we'll see if it helps us out at all. Not sure if it will, but we'll watch and see. I think it'll be more Canadian dollar driven. But that's the CAD Swiss. Not a ton doing, still in the zone. Questions on the CAD Swiss? Nope. All right, all right, all right. Then we had CAD Yen. CAD Yen. Pull that out. Couldn't close above 108,250. Right? Strong bullish move, came right back down. So another yen cross to watch to see, do we get a continued move to the downside, right? The pattern I pulled off of there is a head and shoulders pattern. We'll see if this plays out, right? It's something to watch. Something to watch and pay attention to here. If that continues that move to the downside and we're able to break that neckline at 104,234, then we could be in for a larger move down. Okay. Coming down to the 4, not a ton happening on the 4, right? We got a deep retracement here, just stayed inside that AB boundary on the push to the upside, but we're stuck in that range. All right. So coming down to the 1 is where we have the setup on the 1, and boom, we got the TP1. Right. We didn't get coming out of the weekend, we're looking for a pullback back into the zone for those that may not have been in that off the high. We didn't get that pullback and it just continued to run to the downside. So we're sitting at TP1 level right now. And we'll see if we get price to continue moving down. Okay. See if we get price to continue moving down. But for those that did identify this early on Friday, right? 124 pips in profit there, right? So if you're in that short, man, there's a trade there. If you haven't taken profit already on that one. Okay, so we'll see how this one goes. It might bounce a little bit more. Questions on the CAD yen? Nope.
Nope. These are great setups coming out of the weekend, man.
Yeah, man. It gave us some great opportunities, dude.
Yeah,
Great
work.
opportunities. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. So that's the CAD yen, Swiss yen, right? All of these yens were in similar positions, man. Which is very interesting. Weekly time frame, we weren't able to close above the level, right? 175.22, a little bit higher than that. And this is an all-time high level as well, 177.94, right? So potentially, right, if price does turn over here, potential double top at that level, right? Just shy of the 118, 127 zone on the weekly. All right, come down to the daily. We know we have our 80. No, here we did tap that 382, but there's that potential double top scenario there. Don't have two to the right just yet, so we'll keep that there. But if we get the swing high to form, right, could be double top scenario, move back down to the downside. Okay. Coming to the 4. Here we are, right? This B boundary is a bit off. This should be like this. Boom. All right, so I'll pull these out. And this is our fresh AB boundary on the 4. And you see price running to the downside. Okay. If we break this previous daily level, right, more opportunity to the downside to go. Coming down to the 1, here's our setup. Boom. Right. Close Friday to the downside. We got a bit of a pullback early on Sunday, right into the zone. And now we're off to the races to the downside, right? So this one still has quite a ways to go, get to that TP1 level, but we are on the move. We are on the move. That's 108 pips to the downside so far. So we got another 113 pips to go to make it to the TP1 level. All right. Yeah, so that one's on the go. That one's on the go. Okay. And we'll see if this is the, again, right, just like the others, if this is the beginning of larger move, right, we're already there and we can manage the trade as it goes. Okay. Questions on the Swiss yen? Nope. 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 All right. Cool deal, Swiss yen. Then we had this EUROCAD on the 4. It's still bouncing, right? We're stuck in this really, really tight range here, right? Really tight range here. This is on a weekly time frame. Got to pick a direction, right? And both the euro and the CAD are in interesting situations, with data coming in a bit softer for the euro, and the Canadian dollar also not really being impacted by a ton of the data. So we'll see what happens here. We'll see what happens here. We got daily resistance and daily support there. Breakout in one direction or the other. Would love to see a high price on this to be able to get short and finish out this 80-20 scenario here on the daily. All right. And this is the overall move. And this is that consolidation that we like to see, right? I'd love to see one more high price and then give us a really nice opportunity to get back short. So we'll see what happens there. But we'll come down to the 4. Here's where the 80-20 scenario sits. And it's just lingering, not able to break below that 145, 487 level, right? And yeah, so we're just waiting patiently on this one. Tried to get a push, came right back. We'll see if we get another push to at least get to that 382 at 477, 1.477. Okay. Questions on the EUROCAD? That's another one of those forever joints that we're just sitting and patiently waiting on. No. Okay. All right. So there's your trend line to the downside there. Okay. Let's go to the Euro Swissy. Another forever trade, right? Overall, this was pushing to the downside. Okay. Overall pushing to the downside. That's a larger fib there. I want to run a fib off the high. This is the overall move here on the Euro Swissy, right? Coming off of the highs, the extreme high, right? So this is the overall move. We got an 8-6 retracement. Price trying to make its way down, to the matching extension, which we're almost there, right? We're almost there. Now, if we run a fib off of this 8.6 level, which is the C, right? Here's our smaller wave. Here's our smaller wave to the downside, which also gives us some confirmation, right? Just shy of a 50% retracement, matching the extension is in line with that level. Okay, so do we get a push to the upside? Retest the support levels that we just broke out of before, right? Previous support level breakdown. Do we get a pullback before we get a continuation to the downside to get to the D extension there on the daily time frame? Okay, so that's the question. So come down to the 4. Let me bring these levels down. Boom. Right, so the 4-hour also has some alignment there, right? Just inside the D extension, we got just shy of 50% retracement, right? So overall, yes, down is where we're headed, but can we get a pullback first, right? And give us an opportunity. So coming down to the 1 hour, here's our 80-20 scenario right there, right? And on the 1, you also have confirmation there as well, right? So everything lines up for the D extensions on all of our time frames, but can we get a pullback before we get there? Right? So this is the scenario that we are watching. Let's see if we can get that move back to the upside there. Okay. So continue to be patient on this one as well and see if we get the move. Questions on the Euro Swiss? Nope. 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 All right. Cool deal. Then the Euro GBP. Almost forgot about our best friend. So Euro GBP ranging quite a bit, right? Top of the range, headed back down to the bottom of the range. Yeah, man. Overall move potentially here to the downside. We'll watch and see how this develops. Coming down to the 4. We hit the D extension on the 4. We had an 8.6 retracement, right? Push down to the D extension, and now we're trying to turn over, give us a bit of a pullback. So with that, coming down to the 1, here's where we have a scenario, right? We stayed inside that D extension, didn't get there, right? Can we get price to turn over and give us this retracement? Okay, we got our shallow retracement, push into the 118 and 127 zone. One more push down, didn't get there. Can we turn over, right? We got consolidation happening right now. We'll see if we get a move back top side. Okay. So that's the scenario there in a bit of a drawdown on this EURGBP, but see if we can get a high price and then potentially get back short. All right. So that's the EURGBP. Euro yen, right? Another one of those yen crosses making its move to the downside. This one, monthly, monthly. We know we had a D extension achieved, right? We got price to turn over, pulled back, retested some of that bearish candle. Now is it time for this one to continue south? Weekly, right? You see the details there. Strong bearish action, got a pullback, retesting previous resistance, right? Do we get price to continue that move to the downside? 80-20 here on the weekly time frame, okay? Coming down to the daily, right? You see the nice retracement here. Not able to get into that 618 range, but 50% retracement with daily resistance. We had a strong bullish push here. Weren't able to close above, and now we're moving down, right? So it'll be interesting to see how this moves, right? How all of these yen crosses move. Do we get a deeper retracement on this, right? or do we continue that move to the downside? That's the look on the 4, right? So got a ton of back and forth happening there on the 4-hour. We're down on the 1. Here was the 80-20 snare, came just shy of that 118 level, broke down. We're looking for, just like I believe it was the CAD yen, excuse me, a pullback that we didn't get. The price just continued to run to the downside, not able to close above or stay above that 158,662 level. Beautiful evening star pattern here, and price just continued to run. So ran past TP1, just shy of TP2 there. All right, so we'll continue to monitor this one to see if it continues its move to the downside. All right, that's the euro yen. All of them made the same move. All of them made the same move. All right, so we'll watch and see how things develop there. Questions on the euro yen? Nope.
Nope.
Okay. Cool deal. Euro yen. We looked at the pound Aussie, pound yen. Last one I got. So pound yen, similar story. Daily resistance, not able to close above. We zoom out. We got our 80-20 scenario just shy of that 118 level at this monthly resistance. Pushed down, pulled back 3 times at the level, not able to close above it. 184, 188. Now we're moving down. Okay, coming to the 4, right back to the 618 retracement level. Off the fibs coming to the downside. 3rd time at that level. Struggled, pull back. Okay. This is the overall move on the 4, right? We got to that 382 level once, not able to break out to the top side. Now let's see what happens in this range here. Are we able to make our way back down to the bottom of the range at 178.317? We'll see. To the 1, where 80-20 scenario lies. Boom. 118 level. I didn't. I'll take a look at it, George. Boom. And we got the retracement. Haven't gotten a TP1 level yet, but we're ranging right now. Started the move to the downside. We'll see if we get that continuation at least to that 182, 744 level. Okay. So let's see what happens there. But on the move to the downside so far, coming out of the weekend. That's 100 pips. Okay. So lost track of math, but pretty close to 1,000 pips on a Tuesday with the setups coming out of the weekend. Any questions on the pound yen? Nope.
No questions. Great work, man.
All right. Appreciate it, bro. Appreciate it, man. Let's take a look at this Euro Aussie. It's probably this one's going to be interesting, right? Couple reasons. Let's see. So we know overall, and this is where that's where we sit, right? Yeah, that's where we sit from a daily time frame perspective, right? We made the deep retracement there. Maybe it's time for this to turn over, continue moving to the downside from a daily time frame perspective. We'll see. Okay. Coming weekly though, so we got a mix, right? This is what I was looking for on the daily, right? Weekly, we haven't gotten to the 382 yet, and we've been watching this 80-20 move for a long time, right? We pushed back down. We had some consolidation. We broke that weekly support level. Are we retesting this to continue down to this 158,533 level? We'll see, right? So this one's kind of in between right now. So coming to the daily, right? It gets us a back and forth here, right? Do we continue to move to the downside, or right, do we turn back over and take out the A? So back and forth there. Coming down to the 4, right? Fibs coming to the downside. You got a 382, not able to break out. We're turning back over. So watching to see how this moves. This one's in an interesting situation, right? Because there's a lot of back and forth. You don't have the strongest euro, right? And some of the recent data on the Aussie has been above expectation. So do we get more downside before we get a move to the upside? That's the overall question for me, right? Um, so that's there. That's the 4 coming down to the 1, right? You already got a 382 wick here. You did have a this was on Friday, long wick push into that 118 127 zone, right? So that move happened. Now you're looking to see what happens from here. So this one's in between right now. I'm not playing it. This is the larger fib coming off the high, right? More potential downward pressure, 618 retracement, matching the extension here at 1606. So we could head down, maybe get into that 158, 666 before we get a move topside. That's that the move down first is my it's my bias where I'm leaning, but I'm not trading this one at all. I'm just watching it right now. But we could definitely continue to the downside, breaking these lows and getting to that 158, 666 level before we get another move back to the upside. Benny, what are your thoughts on this Euro Aussie, man? You got any?
It can go range bound. You
Yeah.
know, we just Euro just had good employment data, right? And the Eurozone, what was
Uh,
it that I read this morning?
it came in below expectation.
For that was for the unemployment rate. Is at a record low,
Record low. Yep.
you know. So and then we got good news out of Australia in regards to retail sales, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Above
So
expectation. They got CPI coming in tonight.
correct. So we'll see what happens with that CPI. We know that's a major report.
Yeah.
Uh, so we'll continue to watch it. But you can see how choppy it is,
Hmm.
you know. So like you said, we'll continue to monitor it. It can go either way, to be quite honest. So
Yeah.
CPI have a lot to do with that price action,
Yeah. Yeah. I
going
definitely
forward.
agree.
So
Definitely agree. Uh, cool deal. Joy, what are you looking at on this one?
Well, it broke the 4-hour cloud,
To the
and
downside?
it was a swing, and then I see a swing on there, like at the barrier. Maybe my cloud is
To the upside. Okay.
yeah, but the thing is that when I seen the daily, I freaked out. I was like, eh. But then I say, if all in all, I'll play it up to the D extension back down with the Aussie news coming back out. But so I put my stop. I gave myself $1 in profit just in case it's returned around.
I dig it. Yeah, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens for sure. 14 to 15 trades, 1 loss on GA. Yeah. Great work, Donette. She got him in and was able to take profit on 14 out of 15 coming out of the weekend. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. You guys got any other pairs? Yeah, drop down there some sevens in the chat. You guys got any other pairs that you want to take a look at? You got a few minutes remaining.
Of course,
Euro
gold.
dollar. They say
I said, of course, gold.
gold.
Just
Okay. Excuse me. Euro dollar moving with the dollar. So there's the daily look, right? We're just pressing sideways, tons of indecision, right? Investors looking ahead toward the CPI data, right? And here we are on the 1. We had that move on Friday, got to the TP1 level, right? Now we're just chopping sideways. So not a ton happening, right? If the dollar pushes to the upside, right, we could see this tumble, right? We got weekly support at 107, 179. But tons of indecision right now on this euro dollar. Waiting to see what happens with the dollar itself. Okay. Yeah, that's it on the euro dollar. Not a ton happening right now. Weekly time frame, potential for a crown pattern. If the dollar does gain the strength, right, we could see this make its move to the downside. We also got an 80-20 scenario here as well. So longer term could have some opportunity there. Evening star pattern, boom. So let's see what the dollar chooses, right? That's what it's leaning on and waiting on here. Okay, but could be ready for a move to the downside. Okay. Questions on the euro dollar? You're welcome. Nope. All right. And then gold. We were talking about this one last week. In the entry opportunities on this one, right? And right, pushed below that 618 retracement level, but stayed inside of a boundary. Okay, this is on the 1 hour. So we know we got that support level. I'm sorry, that's where stop loss would be. Yeah, that's where stop loss would be. But stayed inside the AB boundary. So now, right, looking to see if you get some bullish action and make its way back topside. We'll see. But again, going to be dependent on the dollar. So if we get dollar strength, we could see this one move to the downside. Okay, so just be aware there of that. Let's go back to the 4. Yeah, and there we are, range bound there. Right, so we got a 786 retracement on the 4, broke back above, came back to retest. Right, so now where do we go? So this one's in between as well. Once we get the data tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, we could see some movement here in one direction or the other, right? But it's just pretty much sideways. Okay. Questions on gold? Not a ton doing there for me. Nope. All right. Cool deal. Anything else you guys got your eyes on? Benny, anything pair-wise top of mind for you?
No, sir. You set us up nicely coming out at the weekend. I'm just waiting for the end of the weekend. These the CPI data coming out for the United States. So smooth sailing right now.
Yes, sir. Cool deal. That's a quick look at oil, right? And it's bounced back and forth here, trying to push to the upside now. We'll see where that finishes out. All right. All right, good people. If there's nothing else, beautiful start to the week, beautiful start to the year. We'll be back at it tomorrow morning, 6:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the pre-New York session. Have a phenomenal Tuesday. Peace.
Thanks, Ryan.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.